It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
ShipShape, Florida's only boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Freedom Marine, where we take a bite out of the high-priced boat dealers, and by the paint professionals at Cape Marina, located in Port Canaveral, and by Florida Watercraft, now with 2 locations to serve you, and by the friendly folks at Boathouse Discount Marine. If you need it, we probably have it.
Thanks for tuning in to ShipShape, the Boat Improvement Show. I'm John Greviskis, back on location in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, at our home base, Seminole Boatyard, where again, we're going to be working on our 1978 Stamets project boat. Today, we're going to be replacing the bulkheads of our cabin. You might remember a few months back when we got this boat that it hit on its side while traveling on I-95, going about 50 miles an hour. Well, where the hull flexed, it caused some damage to the bulkheads, crushing the plywood and mica structure in several places. So we're going to take a look at what types of plywood and laminates that are available to replace them. Maybe you're working on a boat in your backyard and you come across something you're just not sure about. If this is the case, write it down and send it to us, and we'll try to cover it here on the show for you.
Write your project suggestions to ShipShape, the TV show. Attention Project Director, Post Office Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or fax us at area code 407-626-4348.
And if we select your letter for a topic for a show, we're going to go ahead and send you out a 100% cotton ShipShape t-shirt. Right now, we need to hear a word from our sponsors, so stick around.
Don't drift away. ShipShape will be right back.
The SureHold One Bucket System is your storage and detailing solution. Featuring an ergonomic corrosion-free rope handle, a bucket caddy to organize your supplies and lift them out with ease, a bucket grate to elevate your wash tools out of dirty water with integrated soap measuring cups, a bucket base that won't let your bucket scratch, tip, or slip, and a bucket lid that keeps tools secure and doubles as a comfortable seat. The SureHold One Bucket System, the world's best rope handle 5-gallon bucket. SureHold, clean and simple.
The first thing we need to look at for today's project is what type of plywood we need to use. Now, I'm in Riviera Beach, Florida at Dixie Plywood, and with me is Mark Langham.
Good morning.
Mark, can you tell us what kind of plywood we should be using for a project?
For a marine project, you should use marine plywood.
Okay.
It's made for that project.
Now, they make plywood out of pine and they make it out of fir. Which one do you recommend?
For your marine grade, it should be fir.
Okay.
Because your pine tends to be a little more unstable than fir.
Alrighty. Now, in that marine grade plywood, they use, it's an exterior, naturally
Exterior
plywood.
glue.
And they use a number 1 glue rather than a number 2 glue.
Yes,
Can you
they
kind of
call
tell
it-
us what the difference is?
They call it a type 1 glue. A type 1 glue is a, quote, waterproof glue.
Okay.
A type 2 glue is an interior glue, used
Gotcha.
for furniture, paneling, that type of thing.
Also in the number 1 glue, it's non-toxic. They don't use formaldehyde.
It is non-toxic. You do not use formaldehyde. And in close quarters, like in a boat, this is a real plus.
Gotcha. Now we're going to be laminating our plywood mark. What kind of surface do we need to look at?
You need a fairly smooth surface, just rough enough for your glue for your laminate, but it should be smooth, no indentations as knot holes, that type of thing.
Now there are different classes when you go out there and you're looking for plywood. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, there are different grades and faces. Your AB Marine would have a repaired A face, which allows no defect at all. A CCX or CC Exterior has a plug and touch sanded face. It's lightly sanded. Then you get into your lower grades where you have a lot of rough material that's used principally for the construction industry.
Fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and look at some of the laminates that are available for our project. Okay, we've got the plywood all squared away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the laminates. Now remember, our boat was built and decorated in 1978, so the interior is slightly outdated. What we want to do is we want to bring it into the 90s. Now with me today is Jim Nash of Nash Industries of West Palm Beach. Jim, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us and explain micas. What kind of mica would you recommend that we use on this boat?
Well, that is the preference of the individual. They have different micas, Wilson Art for mica, Nevermeyer, Pionite, different brands, but today you're going to use Wilson Art 1573 white.
Okay, now we're going to be putting the mica on bulkheads. Do we have to take a look or consider thicknesses?
Usually a vertical grade is a thin mica, which is 1/32, and a horizontal grade is a 1/16 mica.
Okay, so we're going to be using a 1/32.
Right.
Now how do we bond the mica to our plywood?
That's with a decent contact bond cement. You're going to paint one side the wood, and then you're going to paint one side of the mica. When glue dries, you want to put some sticks down, because when mica touches the wood, it's going to stick.
It's going to.
Right.
So basically, what you want to do is you want to keep your mica off of the plywood by using some sticks and all of that, and then naturally we can work from the center out. Now, you all sell mica to the public out there. Are a lot of boat owners doing what we're doing here?
Yes, they're redoing a lot of galleys, a lot of different stuff on boats with mica.
Well, today on the project we're going to be doing the bulkheads, but we do have a galley that has a chop block and some of the mica that we're replacing from the bulkheads as well. What I'd like to do is I'd like to actually bring that into the shop at a future date and have you kind of take a look and maybe give us some recommendations on how to go with that.
Right.
Price-wise, what are we looking at for a sheet of this mica?
The mica is running, a thin piece of mica is running about $24, somewhere around in that area, depending on what kind of matte finish or what finish you get. There's all different finishes on mica,
so it's very reasonable.
Right.
Jim, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, now that we've gathered all of our materials, it's time to go ahead and take out the existing bulkheads. Burt, how's the project coming along?
John, I about got all the screws out. I ran into a little bit of difficulty over here on this side where the boat took most of the impact. It actually bent the stainless screws, and as you know, stainless screws, when you bend them and you try to back them out, they want to snap off. But we were able to back out all three without them breaking off on it, so I think this will go pretty nicely. If you want to give me a hand, I'm going to go ahead and pull this bulkhead loose.
Then we can take them down to the sawhorses and see what kind of damage we got.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy cow, look at that.
Yeah, you can see where it really took the impact right there on the edge.
Why don't you head on down and I'll hand this down to you.
Okay.
And we'll get a better look at it. There you go.
I believe we'll be able to get a pattern off this bulkhead though, John.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's enough there to save. Get a pattern.
We've taken off all the hardware to our bulkhead, and now we're going to use it as a template on our new 1/2-inch plywood. Now basically what we're doing here is just sketching it out. Burt, what are we going to do on that crushed area?
Well, John, I'm just going to draw our line on around. And the areas that it's really crushed in, just kind of like freehand it. We got our basic shape. And I believe we'll be able to make this thing fit almost like a glove.
Now, we don't need to be perfect because the caulk is going to take up a lot of slack.
This is true. We put it in with some like poly seam seal, nice silicone based caulking, and It'll finish off rather nicely.
We do want to be as close as possible, though.
Yes, sir.
Let's get this. We got another little indentation here.
Okay.
Nice notch, and I think we're all set. Let's take a look and see what kind of pattern we got.
That looks like our bulkhead.
Sure does. Let's go ahead and cut it.
I'm going to go ahead and make our first cut on our bulkhead. Remember, when you're working with power tools, to always wear safety glasses.
Now that we made all our cuts, it's time to do a dry fit.
All right, I got it, John. Take it down here and see how she fits. All right, John, it looks like it's going to fit in here rather nicely. I think that's that glove fit that we were talking about. It looks good in here. What's it look like out there, John?
Looks great, Bert.
All right, I think we're ready to mica.
Let's do it.
The next step in building our bulkhead is laying out our mica. I'm just going to freehand out about a 1-inch border around our bulkhead. This way to give us some little adjusting room, so to speak.
Looking good, Bert.
And then I believe you're going to take a what is called a linoleum knife, John, and
Yeah, we're gonna score it with a linoleum knife next.
that's what you trim it with?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is we're just going to do a rough trim, just to give us a little working room when we bond the two surfaces together. That's why we're going about 1 inch over. It's a very important step. You do not want to go surface to surface. You need to have some overage on this stuff. That looks great, Bert. Let's go ahead and do this.
Artist I'm not, but there's your line.
Looks good. It'll work. Now what we're going to do is we're going to score the material using a linoleum knife. Now, when you're scoring mica, you're looking to score it to where the line becomes black. And that's a good thing we've got some overage here, because as you're not the artist with the pencil, Bert, I'm not the artist with the linoleum knife. But we're close enough to...
So this is basically the same principle as like cutting glass?
Yeah, similar. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be scoring it until the line turns black, and then
Right.
we're going to actually bend it and snap it. Okay, this is looking good. Let's come around over here. And again, like what we were doing with the plywood, how we were just cutting it off rough, we're going to do the same thing here so we can work with the material.
A little wind here.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and score this all the way across.
Okay.
Okay, and let's go ahead. If you can get that side,
Sure.
we're just going to bend it. And that's
Oh, that cuts
how
easy,
easy
huh?
it is. Basically, again, all we're looking to do is bend the material back and forth, and that's how you score mica. Now, don't worry about the pencil mark. That's going to clean up with mineral spirits or acetone, whatever you have around. This is great material to work with. Very easy. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and we can go ahead and get our material flush and ready to mount on our bulkhead. Okay, let's see how our mica fits on our bulkhead. Just want to make sure that, again, we have some overage. That's to just give us a little bit of room. The next step we need to do is cut some wooden sticks to separate our bulkhead from our mica. Bert, you want to go ahead and do that on the table saw?
Sure.
When you're making your spacer boards, you want to use a solid wood, such as pine or oak, whatever you have laying around. Do not use plywood. The glues in the plywood will stick to your contact cement, and that would ruin the finish.
Now it's time to apply the contact cement to to our bulkhead. One quick tip, whenever you're working with cans of paint or glue, take an awl or a nail and drive a little hole in the trough. This will allow the material to drain through, so when you're tapping the can back on, it won't splash into your face. Now this material we got from Nash Industries. This is a very flammable contact cement. And they do make non-flammable material, but this is what we have to work with, and it's really going to do the job. This is professional grade. And one thing is you don't want to smoke, or you don't want to have an open flame around this. And basically all we're going to be doing is brushing this on. Now, we want to get a nice, even coat of contact cement on our bulkhead. You don't want to put too much on, but you want to have a nice, even amount, because this is what's going to bond the two pieces together.
Don't drift off. ShipShape will be right back.
When you seriously want your expensive wax and buffing pads rejuvenated to a like-new condition, you seriously want Sure-Hold Industries Serious Pad Cleaner. Scientifically formulated to quickly dissolve compounds and waxes from all wool pads, foam pads, microfiber towels, cotton bonnets, even blended buffing pads. All it takes is adding this Serious Pad Cleaner powder to your arsenal. Serious Pad Cleaner, another answer from Sure-Hold Industries' clean and simple solutions for detailing all your toys.
Chapman's Corner is brought to you by Chapman School of Seamanship.
Today on Chapman's Corner, we want to show you the correct way to connect your shore power cord. First, I want to make sure that I have the correct shore side fitting for the female fitting on shore. And if you notice here, you've got three different prongs, a positive, a negative, and a ground. And they're all shaped a little bit differently. So you got to make sure that they line up properly. I'm going to turn my shoreside circuit breaker off, and now I'm going to look for my alignment. Also check to make sure whether you're 30 amp or 50 amp or larger. Once I get that in there, I'm going to twist it to the right, clockwise, to lock it in. Take my screw fitting, tighten that down, so this isn't going to pull out of here and water's not going to get in there. And now I've got my shore cord safely secured. I'll do the same thing on board the vessel. And the last thing I need to check is for polarity, to make sure that my negative and my positive polarity has not been reversed. From Chapman School of Seamanship, this is Tom Dante.
All right, we've covered both surfaces with our contact cement. Now it's time to put our sticks onto our bulkhead. Now we want to space these out about every 6 inches or so. Now what these sticks are for is to keep the surfaces away from each other. You only get one chance when you're talking about working with this contact cement, and you don't want to blow it, because once they adhere, once they go together, you're not going to get them apart, so you only get one shot. Let's go ahead and flip it over, Bert.
Okay.
Now, what we're looking to do is, again, we want to be completely over all of our edges. How's it looking?
Looks good here, John.
Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slide out the center stick, move it off, and press it down. All the way across. That looks great. Now we're going to work to this side. We're going to remove this stick and press it down, working the air towards the edge of the material. We'll do it again. Removing this stick. Again, working the material all the way out. And then we'll take out the second to last stick. Again, working the laminate to the bulkhead. And finally, we'll remove this last strip, and we'll get it nice and flush.
I have a special router bit that's for cutting laminates and mica. It has a ball bearing to give you a guide along your cutting surface. Let's see how it works.
Looks great, Burt. Fantastic. Here's another tip when you're working on mica. If there's an area that your router hasn't gotten to, go ahead and use a flat file and pull towards the center of the material. Don't come away from it, because that's when you're going to get into some chattering and some splintering of the mica. Pull it back into the center of the material, and you're going to go ahead and get yourself a really nice edge.
We've already pre-drilled the bulkhead, now we're ready to mount it. And remember to always use stainless when you're working in a marine environment. How'd that pull up, John?
That's sucking up nicely, Burt.
Okay.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to again thank our friends out here at Seminole Boatyard for all their help. Thanks, guys. You tune in next week.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ship shape means trouble-free. Ship shape means being neater. Ship shape makes boats